What is up, Ridge Runner Nation? Welcome to our 7th episode of VOSS Talks. That is right, we are back. Our first show since April with all four of the boys here. We are so excited and so stoked to get to do another one of these because we love hearing from y'all. If you're listening now and you want to call in and join the show, text that number on your screen right now, and our boy John is going to get working with you and he's going to get you on the show. This idea is so cool, and throwing it back, Wesley and I came up with this. So we're listening to the Pat McAfee show too much, summer of 2020, drinking beers on top of Dairy Barn Hill. Now we're, drinking beers on a couple of different hills, and I'm still so excited to be doing it. But that's enough intro. We're going to be previewing Rim to River 100. It is obviously such a huge race on the East Coast already going into the second year, and we love it so much with our experiences from it. But we'd like to hear what you're thinking about this race. So if you're running it, if you're crewing it, if you're thinking about doing it next year, drop us a line, get on the show, ask us questions, let us know what you're thinking. But until then, let's go around the horn, introduce the boys. For those of you who don't know, my name's Cam Wrench. I'm the sixth man of the nation, coming to you from Missoula, Montana. Wesley, what about you?
And I should say, Cam, you are also running the Rim to River 100 this weekend, and you're going to go get that buckle, and it's going to be awesome to see. As Cam said, I'm Wesley Hart, and I'll also be out there at Rim to River again this year running the race, and it's going to be awesome to just see it in a different perspective. We were out there filming last year, and I'm super excited to experience this race as a runner for the very first time. And like as Cam said, if you're looking to talk anything about this race, call into the show tonight. It's going to be an awesome time. Nick, what's up, dude?
Not a whole lot. I'm excited to follow from afar. Unfortunately, I won't be able to make it over there to West Virginia. Got a little work trip over the weekend that I got to get started. So I'll be tuned in and looking for updates any way I can get them. Probably just calling you, Wes, like every hour or so.
I'll have plenty of time to chat out there, so feel free to hit my line and we can talk. John, how's it going?
It is going great. We already actually have some people reaching out to get on the show, so we're getting ready to go. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to be down there crewing you. And tonight I'm going to be looking for advice on what to say to you when you decide to be in a bad mood. So whether that means kicking your ass out of the aid station or whatever it is, I'm excited for that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm just excited to be here. It's a VOSS Talks. It's been so long.
Yeah, exactly. And it really one big thing with Rim to River that I've been thinking about a lot is not only has it not really been long, but it has been so long in the grand scheme of things. I personally stayed up till midnight on New Year's Eve only to sign up for this race. I'm not a big New Year's Eve guy. And thinking about how much my life has changed, I went from a studio apartment in Columbus, Ohio to my new place here in Missoula, Montana. I went from a dead-end retail job to having something where I'm actually using my degree to actually do my work. So that's exciting. And then just all of the changes that have come with this running year for me, reflecting on that because of this occasion of actually getting ready to run this race has been so fulfilling. Wesley, you're kind of in the same boat. This race sold out on the very first day. Where were you at on Jan 1 when you signed up for Rim to River 100?
Well, I didn't even sign up on Jan 1 because I didn't know where I was going to be in the world. So I kind of put my name on the wait list about 60 spots down or so and hoping that I'd get the call. And I think the call came around May. And at that point, I was already established with where I was at. I made a similar move across the country in January. And kind of once I got settled in, I knew I was locked and loaded for this race. But yeah, it's been an exciting year for me to kind of have a full year to finally train. Coming on this training block for me this whole year, I'm about to hit my yearly PR in mileage on race day, which is exciting to have happen. So I think just it's been crazy to see even the growth within Ridge Runners and Ridge Runner Nation. A year ago today, we didn't even have our first film out. The Rim to River 100 film came out in April. That seems like it was yesterday. And so there's just a ton of excitement for this race. I'm excited for the gun to go off and to get started with this thing.
Absolutely. And I know we've beat this dead horse already, but how are you feeling about that fifth place prediction? It was a bold prediction at the time. I'm really glad we got it on camera. But how are you feeling? Like you've been to the gorge and now you've been out in the big western mountains. What's changed?
Before
I have no
he
idea
gets to
what
that though.
There's
Everything. Doing really well today, guys. We're out here. We're having a great day together at Rims River 100. Inaugural Rims River 100. I can't wait to run this race next year and place top 5.
That's a very spicy statement.
It is a pool stuff.
This is why you don't throw a camera in my face.
I'm-
Who puts a camera in my face and lets me say things? That's the issue here. But
I'm so
no,
glad we have that clip too, because now I'm realizing you said finish top 5, not finish 5th place. There are new levels of Wesley Harton to discover on this race.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny because, like, I look today, there's, I think, 223 people currently towing the line on Saturday. And, I think there's 223 runners that could finish in the top 5 at this race. And, it's going to be one of those days where it's anyone's race. And I'm just excited to be out there. Just kind of enjoy the party, enjoy the atmosphere. And, I'll definitely be kind of going for it. And we'll kind of talk about that a little later and personal goals with the race. But definitely just trying to run a smart race and just trying to see what I can do out there. This is kind of the perfect atmosphere to push myself to my limits, and that's what I'm most looking forward to.
You going solo? You got a crew?
I've got a amazing crew of John Dolovaki III. He's going to get a ton of revenge. You mentioned it earlier, but I crewed him at Canal Corridor 100 last week and paced him a couple weeks ago and paced him there. And I was brutal to him at aid stations. Like I was just on it the entire time. And so I'm expecting some big time revenge in terms of like, hey, get your butt moving and don't hang out here for too long.
He was like a drill sergeant. It was like 90 seconds. Let's go. We're going now. And I'm like, oh, geez, God, I just want to sit, man. He's like 90 seconds. We're going.
Yeah, it was just, but that's what it takes. You know what I mean? Like I always say, if you can get running for 2 minutes, 3 minutes during a 100-miler late in the race and kind of just get the legs turning over again, you can turn 2 to 3 minutes into 5 and 6 minutes and, kind of go from there. So that's the thing is like, for me is when I get to a low moment in the race, just kind of keep moving throughout the day. But his fiance, Jackie, will be down there as well. I'm excited to have her at the race, and Michael Owen will be out there pacing me as well. So excited to have Coach Owen out there.
Yeah,
Ken,
those aid stations can be inviting, but also torture. You gotta get out of those quick. I know. I think pacing Michael once, he was taking a lot of time every aid station, but then we would run the whole 5 or 6 miles between. So that was like my cue to like, all right, we need to like move through these aid stations quickly because he kind of seemed his lowest at each aid station. So just getting out of there and keep going.
And fortunate to us, Cam, we saw the aid stations a ton last year. The entire race, basically. We saw the entire field go through most of the aid stations, so we don't need to hang out at them for too long this year, which is awesome. Cam, who do you got coming down to crew and pace you?
Yeah, so I've got good friends and friends of the show, Alex Jackson, Max Gavazzi, Amy Cruzan, and then Jamie Hanks, who was one of our most recent guests, actually, on Ridge Runners Live. I'm very excited about this. I've crewed all of them at various hundreds, although Alex Jackson never actually got to pace him. Drove all the way up to Cuyahoga Valley National Park to pick him up after DNF'd. So we'll see what kind of shit he talks after hearing me say that now. But super excited to catch up with everybody again. I'm really, this move was the best thing for me, and I don't regret it at all. But I really do miss like my Ohio folks, and getting to kind of have that reunion vibe there is going to be really, really exciting for me, because then also it's sharing the experience, and I've been on the other end of that experience, like I paced Jamie when he just ran Mohican 100 earlier this summer, and getting to make that reciprocal and have it all come back around, I'm really excited about.
Yeah, Eric Anderson in the chat, he mentioned that it's going to be cold at night. It's going to be cold during the day. Like, that's one thing that's completely different from last year's race. I think the highs last year were around 65 or so during the day. And, it's only going to be like 45 degrees or so during the day, and then obviously colder at night. Cam, what's your preparation like going into that? You're kind of a big cold weather runner.
I don't really have any specific preparation for it. I do think that, fall kind of comes earlier out here in Montana. It's much more of a September is the fall month here, whereas in Ohio, September is kind of summer's like still hanging on. So I'm really exciting. I look outside, most of the larches are kind of fallen off and all the deciduous trees are down. Where I'm gonna pop into the New River Gorge. I'm gonna get one extra week of fall, which is wonderful. It's my favorite season, and I'm really looking to just enjoy it. There's all kinds of quotes about like no such thing as bad weather, only soft people, or no such thing as bad weather, only bad gear, which is a thing people just say to sell you stuff. Frankly, if anyone ever tells you that, but it's like, I'm not worried about the weather going into it. The weather's going to be whatever the weather is, and it's not going to affect my ability to run 100 miles. Can greatly affect my time, whatever, like feet can get messed up, you'll get cold, but the weather's going to be whatever the weather is. I haven't even checked it. So.
Wow. I just don't have words. I'm a big weather guy myself. I like to look and see, prepare, cause like when packing, especially preparing for a race like this, I want to make sure I've got more gear than I could, even possibly need out there. But I'll only up using one or two things anyway. But for me, like going into it with the cold weather, I hate running in the cold. Like I just am not a cold weather runner. I much prefer 80, 90 degree days like all summer long. But I think it's going to be good. It's kind of like a perfect temperature, like 45 to 30 degrees isn't too bad. So I think it's going to be just a perfect day. It's going to be one of those days where you can just kind of run 4 days. Like I remember back in my high school soccer days, our coach was always like, this weather is like a nighttime game or whatnot. It's like, you can just run for days. Like I don't want anyone getting tired tonight. And so that's kind of the atmosphere that I'm bringing into this one. Is like, you can just run for a day or so. And that's kind of what I'm most pumped up about. Cam, I think we got our first caller here.
All right, welcome to the show. Who do we have on the line here?
Hey, this is Caleb.
Hey, Caleb, how's it going?
It's going well. How about you guys?
We're doing well. Stoked to have you calling in. What's up?
Oh, not much. Just getting excited for the race this Saturday. Just gearing up and trying not to watch the weather like Cam's doing over there.
Yeah, we're excited you're gearing up for this one. It's awesome that I'm sure you watched the prediction video for this one. The Ridge Runners, we had you finishing first place at the Rims Forever 100 as a back-to-back champion going into this one. But we just want to let you know that was actually like our plan B or C prediction. Our actual prediction is that I'm going to beat you by millions and millions of hours at this race. So what do you have to say about that?
Well, it's whoever gets to the top of Kmore Miners Trail Hill. That's who's the winner. So, I think it's an even playing field. It's just whoever can climb the best.
Is that the toughest climb on the course, in your eyes?
Yeah, I think so. It's definitely the steepest one. It's easier just because of where it's at in the course. Being in the first half. Makes it a little bit better than some of the later ones, but it's definitely the steepest. And the fact that we don't go down it this year makes it a whole lot better. But yeah, going up, it's still not gonna be fun.
Absolutely. And given that there are a little bit of course changes, but you're West Virginia local and you ran and won the race this last year. Is there anything about this new course that has you a little bit worried, a little bit on edge, or are you just all cylinders fire and just ready to go, super confident heading into this race?
I'm going to do as well as I can, run as fast as I can and just see what happens. But Bryant, he made it harder. He definitely, although he took out the Miners Trail going down, he added more to the last few miles, meaning you come to Concho aid station, the last aid station with 7.5 miles to go. Whereas last year we only had 3.5. So just that point where you're feeling really rough, you're tired, there's more on the Ace property, which is arguably the hardest part of the course. So, and being at nighttime and everything like that, it's just going to get tough. But, we're just going to have fun, do our best, and see what happens.
Dude, I hate that you're already making excuses for your 17:30 performance you're about to run out there.
17:30?
I was gonna say, yeah. You mentioned, you're gonna be running on Ace at night. That's probably not my plan, to be honest. But you don't have that no headlamp energy. You're not gonna finish before it gets dark.
Well, I'm not Arlen Glick over here, but I am going to bring the headlamp and the Kagala and everything else. I'm going to have 3 lights out there, most likely, just in case something happens. But yeah, I think I'll definitely need the lights by the Canard aid station on the way back. Miles 79 and on. I'll definitely have it beforehand, but I think that's when we'll need it.
Yeah, kind of going off that. I'm super. You obviously returning to this race. What just kind of like is your motivation to coming back year 2? Obviously, winning the race in year 1. Is it just the fact that I want to repeat in year 2, or kind of what drew you back to this race?
Well, there's a few things. I have a mantra that I live by, and I feel like you never lived unless you've done something twice. So Rim to River, I've won it once. I'd like to do it twice. If I do it twice, then I can move on and get on with life. But, I really love this race. Just the fact that Bryant was able to put it on during COVID and everything that was, all the craziness. I really have a lot of respect for him. I know it was hard on him to manage all that, and I love him for it. So I fell in love with the course last year. It was my first 100, actually first race over 40 miles. So just, falling in love with the distance, and it's one of the most beautiful places in what I think, in the world, and just what I call home. So yeah, there's a lot of reasons why I wanted to come back and run it. But yeah, I also think that you gotta do it twice.
That's a good attitude to have, I think I can agree with that in a certain way, although I don't know if I'd be like, oh, I need to go do that twice. But and so we've got actually Josh Keck in the chat. This was a second ago. We didn't get to it, but he says, is Caleb going to make it to the starting line, ... and then 4 question marks. And pretty sure Josh Keck's another Huntington, West Virginia guy. Does he know something we don't, Caleb?
Well, I guess he's been watching all your guys' stories on Instagram, I guess. But the plan is to make it to the start line. That is 100% the plan. Could I oversleep? Maybe, but I have a house with 2 other runners in the race, so hopefully they don't let me oversleep.
Oh, man. I don't think you know this, Caleb, but you should have taken that oversleep as a shot at Wesley, who once overslept the Columbus Marathon.
Yeah, the only reason I'm predicting that on you is because it's happened to me. Like, it's firsthand things that's happened to me. So
it could happen.
It could happen.
Yeah, it could happen.
Hey, what's one thing you learned last year from the race last year that you're gonna kind of improve upon, or at least take with you and think about this year?
That's a good question. Well, just knowing having somewhat of a feeling of what it feels like in the latter parts of the race, I think will help. Just because that's something you can't really train for. I mean, unless you're running 50 to 60 mile runs, so you can't really train for how you're going to feel when you're that fatigued, that tired, that everything's just melting down. So I think that's probably the biggest thing I've taken away from last year's race. And just the importance of having crew members and pacers, because I really didn't think that they would. I mean, I knew they would help, but I didn't realize how important they would be of just keeping me going, keeping me moving. Like last year, Dan Green, who you guys predicted third, which I think he'll get second or first probably. He got me running again at the Instead turnaround point. Like, I would have just walked for a long time if it wasn't for him. So it's like the pacers, the crew members, everybody that's just trying to push you to get to the finish line are so important. So I guess that's probably the biggest thing I've gotten from last year's race.
Well,
absolutely. Awesome. And so what would you, given the experience you've had on this course, and then, we know you're a coach there with Marshall Track and Field and cross country, what would be your one piece of advice to runners going into this race?
Have fun. I mean, that's what it's all about. Don't take it too seriously. It's going to hurt no matter what. I mean, from miles 50 on aren't going to be pleasant, but definitely soak it all in. Make sure that you actually take gainders at the overlooks, because there's several of them out there. There's definitely a couple waterfalls that you'll pass. Take in all the beauty of the course and just find yourself. You're going to be learning more about yourself in the 24, 27, 32 hours that you're going to be running. It's something that you learn only by doing it. And I think that everybody should, go out and try to figure out what they're made of, I guess. So I guess that's it.
Well, Caleb, we really appreciate you hopping on the line tonight, and we wish you all the best this weekend. We can't wait to see you again at the race. Do you have any closing thoughts here for Ridge Runner Nation?
No, just I'll see you guys on Friday and have fun.
What's your prediction time for Wesley before you jump off?
Here we go. Here we go.
He is definitely going to run sub 20 hours. It's a cool morning, cool day.
Ooh.
I think he's going to run sub 20 hours. If he's going to be top 5, I think that's going to be it. Like, it's going to take that fast.
I agree with that. Love it.
Disagree with that.
I love that. Somebody's got to believe in you, Wesley.
I don't think the top 5 will be sub 20 personally, but we'll see. I think you were the only person to go under. I think you were the only one to go under sub 20 last year, Caleb.
That's true, but it got up to like 70-some degrees last year. So I think it being cool is going to help everybody. I really do. It's been dry, so a lot of the creek crossings and all that will be better too. Hopefully, spring.
All right. Well, thank you for calling in, Caleb. We wish you all the best of luck, and we're super stoked to see you out there as well. I figure I don't know what turnaround point I'm going to see yet, but I'm gonna judge how my race is going by how early or late that is.
Sounds good. I'll see you guys.
See ya.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
see you, Caleb.
And I can't wait to see that 8 or 9 hour Wesley 100-mile PR.
There's no way that it happens like 20. I mean, I'm not even going out at 20-hour pace. So
you're going to negative split this race.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, the second half's easier is what they say at this one for sure.
Everyone negative splits 100-milers. We actually got a chat comment. Eric Anderson coming in hot with the advice. He says, Wesley, don't go out at that pace. Run your own race.
That's why I love Eric. He's always watching out. John, I think we got couple more people here in the queue. Let's get someone here on the line with us. Who do we have on the line joining us, and where are you from?
Hey, this is Paul DeFord.
Hey, how's it going, Paul?
Wait, hold on. Sorry.
Yeah, you're gonna.
I think I'm muted.
Yeah, we got the old radio feedback loop.
What's going on, man? How's it going?
It's going good, guys. I got most of my groceries tonight. We got the crews getting ready to head down on Friday, and we're gonna have a fun weekend.
Absolutely, that's super exciting to hear, Paul. You're well known, or at least I always think of you as that other guy who bakes. Baking not as large of a part of my identity, but the last thing I made was pan de muerto, and I ate way too much of it. I don't have enough friends to give away baked goods to here in Missoula yet. But what was the last thing you baked, and why is it going to help you finish the Rim to River 100?
So the last thing I baked was pumpkin bread because 'tis the season. But I am baking some blueberry muffins with streusel on top for my crew and for myself to help power some of those big calories to build up for the weekend. I unfortunately don't have any sourdough bread in the works. That's usually my go-to to bring down with me. But maybe next time, depending on how things go.
Absolutely, yeah, definitely know that. And so, what is the thing that you're most excited about for this weekend? There's gonna be a whole Cincinnati crew down there. We're really excited to see everybody. But what's bringing you down to the gorge?
So 100 Mile has been something on my mind for a while. I've only been doing trail running, honestly, for the past 2 years. My first big race, actually my first race, was OBU, the COVID version in November of 2020. And I did 100K there. That was that was by far my favorite race experience that I've ever had. And I met Wes for the first time in person there, and Andrew Waugh, a good buddy of mine, helped power me through a couple of the last yards to make sure I'm, met the goal that I'd set for myself. And then when it came time to talk about hundreds, I was in my bed, ready to go on January 1 at midnight, ready to hit that button. And, it's just been fun to train for it and everything. And we're getting excited to come down. I've luckily enough to have Andrew Wise, my crew chief, and then Michael Newhall is also a good friend of mine that just moved from Virginia last year. So he's going to be pacing me for the second half and crewing for the first half with Andrew. So we got a good squad and ready to go.
Absolutely. That's really great to hear. And, knowing that your first big race was OBU, it's a much different kind of race. You get aid every 4 miles. A lot of the aid stations are further apart on this course, and it's such a strict structure. You can't really have a bad loop. You can't sit down at your aid station and have a little pity party for an hour like I've always wanted to when I've run that race. How are you preparing mentally for the different kind of challenge that goes along with your sort of standard 100-miler versus a backyard ultra?
Yeah, it's a great question. And a lot of this is so unknown to me since this is going to be my first 100-miler. But I think the fact that there's less pressure every yard to have a perfect hour where you can't really mess up is only going to be helpful. For me, I'm someone, all my friends joke about this all the time, but I'm very much like I'll walk and then run too fast. I don't really have like as much of a granny gear as everyone usually talks about for ultras. I'm working on it slowly. But it's something I'm still not quite there yet. But looking at the course, obviously there's going to be some sections that are better for running versus power hiking. I'm pretty comfortable in my power hiking gear at this point, so excited for that. But it'll help for sure from a pacing perspective not to have that 14:45 minimum pace pressure that comes with the backyard scene. But we'll see what happens.
Paul, your phone connection was so strong, it kicked my video feed off the line there. But we're back, and what I want to know is why did you Run the River? Why this one? So many races could be your first time 100, but why did you choose this one?
That was a good question. I asked the Studs Facebook group over here in Cincinnati what a good first time race would be. And people, they talked about Tunnel Hill, they talked about Canal Corridor, they talked about a few other ones. Rim to River really stood out to me, number one, because of the amazing reviews that it got from its first year. And especially for a first year race to have such good reviews, I'm so excited to see what they can do the second year, especially without as many COVID restrictions. And then, I also, beyond it being, a distance challenge, I wanted it to be as big of a challenge without it being too stupid to do. And so I figured, getting in a good amount of vert along inside my first 100-miler would also be something important to do. So, Rim to River seems to be the perfect one. And also, since you guys seem to love running in the cold, I just have to let you know, I absolutely actually love to run in the cold. So I'm excited for these low temps because I sweat way too much, but in the cold, I can, manage my fluids a lot better and it's not nearly as bad. So I'm pretty pumped about these low 30s and low 40s temperatures that we're going to see.
Yeah, I'm just not about
Yeah,
that
Paul.
cold temperature. I'm all warm. I'm glad I'm not running, but I'm gonna be freezing there trying to crew Wesley. But I think am I the only one in this group right now that hates the I think Wesley, you hate the cold, right? You're not a part of Paul Hardy's group.
Nope.
I don't like Paul Hardy's group. Yeah, it's not me.
We don't.
I'm the only vocal Paul Barty crew member here, as far as I know, actually.
Oh, I'm all about the cold for sure.
Okay.
My best races have always been in the either early spring or kind of late fall. So I agree. And look, Paul, I think you know what, you're giving your crew the streusel, so all the pressure's on them. No pressure on you.
Yeah, honestly, if you have a blueberry streusel muffin, then you can tackle anything that's put in front of you, right? So there's really no excuses at this point. Andrew Waugh will be bundled up in about 50 layers, I know. That'll keep nice and toasty. But, I'm from Michigan, and I played high school soccer in the snow, and we had a great time with it. So, Wesley, I don't want to hear any sort of complaining. And also, when you see me run by you for the first 20 meters just to wave as I go by, you better not push me in the New River like the threat was on Strava. I'm glad that Arlen and Caleb were there to put you in your place. That's all I gotta say.
Hey, if you haven't seen the Strava, Andrew Watt kind of insinuated that Paul DeFore would be passing me, and as he passes me during this race, he would wave at me, and in doing so, and I said that if that happens on race day, Paul will end up in the New River at some point in this race, and I'll just leave it at that. But
Oh man. All right, Paul. Well, do you have any closing comments or thoughts?
No, I'm just excited to get this done. My last big race was in Zion over in your guys' neck of the woods, and it ended in a catastrophe. So I'm hungry for this one. I'm ready to go, and it's going to be fun as I whiz past Wesley going 7-minute pace for the first 20 meters or so before I start walking up that first hill. So I'll see you guys on Friday, and looking forward to having a good time.
Absolutely. We will we'll see you there, Paul, and we are stoked to see you as well.
Have a good one, guys.
Yep.
We'll see ya.
I don't know if you guys caught this, but when Paul ran Shawnee 50K, the next morning he went after the race back home, and the next morning he got up and ran a 20-mile, like a flat, like road run on loops the very next day after spending like 7 hours out there.
Yeah.
So I think he's got the training. He's putting the time in for sure.
We'd love to see that. Even more than we'd love to see his baking post on Instagram. But, speaking of things we'll love to see, we're all stoked to get Ridge Runner Nation member Andrew Waugh out there. I'm really excited to see just how many layers he can fit on. Because I remember seeing him at the Backyard Ultras in a puffy coat, and that's such a powerful look. I can't imagine how cold he gets when he's not moving.
No, he wore it like the whole entire time that Wes was pacing him at Leadville, too.
I was going to say, when I was pacing at Leadville, I feel like it wasn't in that many layers. Was he in a lot of layers?
No, he had a puffy on for sure.
The puffy is a big layer, Wesley.
Yeah.
I missed out on that. Let's stay focused on the 90 seconds and, keeping it moving, as J83 alluded to earlier.
Yeah, and to your comment there, Nick, Paul actually just dropped in the chat. He says, Andrew Waugh made me do 3 30-20 back-to-back weekends. That is this 3 really solid weekends. Did not see any of that in my training, at least. So, here's to you, Paul.
I've never done that. I guess that's what I'm missing.
That's true. And so, John, we got anybody else waiting on the line currently?
Not yet. We are working on getting someone into the queue, and we'll get them on here in a few minutes.
All right, sounds good. And so one thing, that's coming up with this race, right, is the course has changed a little bit, and it's no longer quite the perfect out and back, but it really does manage to get to see sort of all the great sights of the New River Gorge. I'm sure you guys have seen all of our social posts from Long Point and the Concho Rim aid station this week on Instagram. But what are you kind of feeling, Wesley Harton? Are you going to take the time to soak in the scenery as Caleb suggested? Or are you, as a guy who doesn't even like hiking, what are you going to be enjoying it? Or is this just an athletic challenge?
That's kind of funny that you mentioned the hate hiking thing, because I've been thinking about that a ton recently on my runs, and in taper mode especially, because you're supposed to slow down and really enjoy the recovery miles, which I've been doing as well. But that hating hiking thing has definitely come up a little more recently than I would like it to admit. But with that, as long as I can kind of keep running and keep moving and hike in between, it is a run walk, but you can still definitely run some of those miles as well. So that's kind of what I'm most looking forward to. But to answer your question, I'm definitely going to be stopping at those those lookout points, like at Long Point, at Fayette Station, to look up and look around at all the different sceneries. So there's a ton of different parts of the course that I'm looking forward to kind of just taking in. I'm not going to probably run out over to Concho Rim to the overlook there. Maybe I'll just look from a gander, but maybe at mile 92 when it's dark, I'll head over and see what's up. But what about you, Cam? What's your game plan in terms of the overlook spots?
I mean, to be frank, I was, this has not been a great year of either training or racing for me, frankly, both physically and mentally. And now I'm sitting sort of like on the precipice, or excuse me, the precipice of like the largest of these challenges. My, well, not my next to last race was a 11-mile DNF at a 50K in West Virginia, just because I wasn't mentally there. And I think that's been the biggest change for me since moving, is that I'm really enjoying just running again, and my relationship to it as a method of exploration has like kind of come back, and I've gotten that same like kind of sense of wonder. So I'm planning on just taking it as, honestly, like as slow as I might even be able to go, and just enjoying every single minute of it that I can. And I, even when, as Caleb says, there's going to be plenty of pain and suffering in the last 30 miles, like in a way you can accept that, and you can enjoy it as you go along with it. And so that's really my plan, and it's like if I'm at mile 92 and we'll say my feet look even worse than John's at Burning River, I mean, knock on wood, because I don't want that. But, I'm gonna walk over there, I'm gonna take a look over the rim, and I'm gonna enjoy where I'm at and what's going on. So that's the plan. Yes, absolutely.
How many Instagram photos are you going to take out there on the course on race day if you had to guess?
Oh, I'm gonna go live on the Ridge Runners IG at Long Point. Everybody be prepared for that. I have no idea what time that's going to be. Hopefully I can get Caleb coming through the second time. Just give him a little wave, because he's gonna be going a little too fast for me. But absolutely, phone's coming with me. I'm gonna listen to music if I need to. I'll listen to a podcast if I want. I'm trying to enjoy this. This is not, I'm in no danger of winning, so why act like I am?
Yeah, no, I love to hear that, Cam, and I feel like you've got the mindset that you need to finish 100 miles going into this race, and Race Runner Nation's all pulling for you. John, I think we have someone on the line and in the queue, so let's get them on here. Who do we have on the line, and where are you from?
Hey guys, this is Josh Keck from Huntington, West Virginia.
Hey Josh, how are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. How you guys?
Doing well. Stoked to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm excited to see you guys this weekend. I'm not going to be racing myself, but I'm going to be volunteering. I should be course marshaling right before you guys get to Long Point. So, if Wesley's not in the top 5 spots, just saying, I may have to give him a little kick, get him motivated.
Yeah, just push me off Long Point.
That'd be a fitting way to go. There's worse places.
Yeah, when Cam's live streaming, you'll just see Wesley's body down at the bottom. Perfect.
Not a good.
But yeah, I'm excited to see you guys. Yeah, but it should be a great race. I think there's a lot of strong runners coming out. I'm a middle of the pack guy, and one thing I wanted to ask you guys about, like I know in my experience last year was nutrition did just not go well. It was a total fail. It was my first 100, and I didn't know what to feel like after mile 50, and the nutrition side of it for me was just totally threw me off. So I'm curious if you guys have a nutrition strategy, and speaking of baked goods, does it include pepperoni rolls?
So I'll go for that one first. Nutrition strategy, no. Pepperoni rolls, yes. I don't know exactly how many there are going to be at the aid stations, but I'm gonna put quite a dent. They don't really have those out here in Montana. In fact, I had to explain what they were to somebody about a week ago, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm kind of on the opposite side with Cam again. He's not checking the weather. I'm actually preparing for this race. It's 100 miles, Cam. What are you doing out here? But
I'm gonna be happy, man. That's the thing. I'm not worried about the race. I'm just gonna be happy during it. Like.
Yeah, I mean, that's really all it takes to get through 100. But no, I do have a nutrition plan. It's I've got a big Google Doc. On Ridge Runners Live, we had Carol Youngblood on and Melissa Strain on, and they talked about preparation for 100. And that episode really prepared me to really, okay, let's do a deep dive here. Let's kind of visualize my race and how I want it to play out nutrition-wise at each aid station. When it gets dark, what layers could I possibly want, or like when do I want a shoe change possibly? And so I really kind of spent a ton of time focusing focusing on that. But I mean, in terms of just like raw numbers, like I'll be doing, spring energy gels, or what I will be going to for gels throughout the day. I'll also be drinking the gnarly that's out on the course, which I'm super excited for that. Really worked well for me a week ago with Cam out in Montana. And then kind of off of that, I mean, the aid stations are stocked with the best aid station food that is like maybe at any East Coast 100, like bacon, pepperoni rolls, and like so many other like quesadillas. And I'm missing broth and chicken noodle soup at every single aid station. Like it just goes on and on with a list of like high quality aid station foods. So
local coffee as well.
Rangefinder coffee, hopefully, from Fayetteville, West Virginia. So, I mean, it's going to be awesome. That's what I'm most looking forward to, is just kind of eating everything that's out there. And, it's just an eating contest at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, for sure. That's awesome. You guys got it figured out. The food and the aid stations are awesome. I think Brian's done a great job. He's gotten people from all over the state to come out and volunteer for this thing. So that's a real testament to just not only the race, but just getting people involved, getting so many people to sign up for a race after the first year. Like, it's an insane accomplishment. So shout out to Bryant for coming together, making that happen, and for everybody who's volunteering. I'm excited to see you guys, and I think it's going to be a great race.
What was your favorite aid station from last year as a runner?
Oh man. Based on just, I would probably have to say Anstead at the halfway point, just because that's when I got to see my family, my crew, and that's when I finally like threw up and started to feel better. Not so much because of the aid station necessarily, but like it's such a relief to get past that halfway point. But in terms of service, I got to give that to Fayette Station, because Fayette Station, they were crushed, because they're right before and after that midpoint. And so they're getting runners consistently for hours. For like 3, 4, 5 hours straight, they're getting runners on runners on runners. And they're right by the river where all that windy, cold, misty air is coming and hitting everybody. And it got cold. It got real cold. And so I know for me, like I stopped there for a good half an hour, and I didn't want to, but I was so cold. I was like my stomach didn't know what to do at the time. So eventually, like, they got me moving. They got me some of that hot broth. I never have hot broth before. Like, that was my first time trying it, and it was the ticket. Like, that was amazing. But it was so hot. It was scalding hot. So I had to, like, sit there and freeze for about 5 minutes as it cooled down, or else it was going to scald my mouth. So give and take. But definitely Fayette Station for just the level of service that they had to provide. And they had so many people dropping at that stage of the race, like mile 62 or whatever. Like, you're going to get there a little earlier this year, and I think that's a great benefit. You'll get there before, like, most people are everybody's starting at 6 a.m. So you're starting earlier for the most part, and you're going to get to Fayette Station at the mile 60 point earlier in the race, or 57. So I think that's going to work out really well, especially given how cold it's going to be. But yeah, just be warned, like Fayette Station, it's going to get cold down by the river. Everybody should just definitely prepare for that and try and get in and out as fast as you can, because that really is a big stopping ground. Luckily this year they have crew. So you have crew access to Fayette Station, whereas last year they couldn't because of COVID. So that's a big plus.
Yeah, Josh, you're warning us to get in and out of Fayette Station as fast as possible. I got to say, it was a place that I wanted to hang out last year, although the way our filming duties broke up, Wesley was the one who was hanging out there alone in the cold for about 5 hours. But Caleb Bowen actually just threw down in the chat, the hill after Fayette Aid Station is quite a good one, and I ran the 100 yards in and out of it probably a half a dozen times. What am I looking forward to when I finally run further than 100 yards from that aid station?
Past the aid station at the top of that hill there, you're going to be entering the Arrowhead Loop, and that's going to last for quite a while this time around. So you've got a while to go. But that aid station was very good. They had chairs, they had heaters. It's not quite so uncomfortable, so you can relax there for a minute before moving on. And then once you exit the Arrowhead Loop, I don't know how they're doing it this year, because the exiting the Arrowhead Loop is a little bit different, but I think they have an aid station right before you get back onto the Miners Trail. So that was a real good one too. And I know it even though it was like really dark at night when I went through it, it was packed. There was quite a few people hanging out there, but they had hot broth, hot ramen, chicken noodle soup. Like, they had anything you could possibly want. They had it there in a small, compact little aid station in the middle of nowhere. It was great.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for calling in, Josh. Do you have any closing thoughts you want to wrap up with?
I'm just real excited to see everybody, and I'm real excited for the Caleb versus Dan showdown. I think it's going to be fantastic, and I hope that Dan leaves Caleb in the dust. No offense, Caleb.
Let's go.
Big call out to end. We're gonna have to. I mean, I don't know if you can call in twice, Caleb. What do you got thoughts?
Rebuttal here.
Dan is going to crush this thing. I'm calling it. Even it's tough because it's going to be his first time. Caleb's got the edge on him in distance, but Dan has been training a lot. He has been pushing it this year, and it's going to be interesting. It's going to be real interesting. They've gone head to head in a couple of races this year, and I think Caleb's got one and Dan's got one. So that's 2 out of 3.
Awesome. Well, we're excited to see it, man. Thanks so much for hopping on with us tonight.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Yep. Thanks, Josh.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, Josh also has a YouTube channel. You can go check out a couple of his videos there. He recently ran Old Dominion, I believe. He has an awesome race video from that. Or no, not Old Dominion, the other one.
Cloud Splitter,
yeah, the other Virginia race. But then also he has a Rims River video from last year as well. So if you're looking for more footage of like what the course is like, what Asians are like, go check out Josh's channel on YouTube and tune in there. But John, I think we got someone else in the queue, right? We're just rolling right along with these guests, which is incredible to hear. Who do we have joining us on the line, and where are you from?
Hey, this is Bryant Becker from the Gorge.
Love to have you calling in, Bryant. How's it going?
I'm doing well. How are you guys?
Doing great. Super excited to hear from you.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to actually get in. I wasn't sure I was going to get off the trail in time.
Yeah, race director Brian Baker calling into VOSS Talks. We absolutely love that on race week, and we really appreciate your time tonight. One thing I'm curious about is, for runners, you're obviously year 1 was a smashing success, but what are you most looking forward to in year 2 from your end?
Oh man, I've been looking forward to this weekend since last year's race finished. I don't know, just learning, just learning about putting on a good race and trying to tweak things, make it better. See different things we can change, different things we can look at differently. I'm probably the most excited just about people coming back. Super psyched to see so many runners returning, either to race again or coming back as crew members. We've got runners coming back to volunteer. It's super cool.
Absolutely. And what would you, you went really big with this first race, right? The first race you put on, 100-miler, middle of COVID in America's newest national park, What is the biggest lesson you took away from year 1 that you're applying now to year 2?
I think the biggest thing has just been to have, it's been very helpful this year, and just, this last couple of months to have a functioning timeline in my head, of when I can expect things to happen, when I need to get things done, and kind of have just a better game plan going into it. Last year was kind of, just going for it in the dark, and then COVID was a whole other thing to figure out. So just kind of on the back end, logistics of things, just kind of having a better grasp of what needs to happen when.
Absolutely. That makes a lot of sense. And you're putting on other races now there in the New River Gorge. What about this place, and specifically getting there in the fall, most excites you to kind of share it with these runners?
Oh man, the New River Gorge is super special to me. I've been guiding here for almost 20 years, and been running here, and it's just I've had huge life experiences here. Been lucky enough to have some amazing adventures here, and so just sharing a place that I am disconnected with. I'm super passionate. Part of why I love guiding is because super passionate about facilitating experiences for people, and kind of sharing in that. And so just getting folks out here to experience just the quality of trails we have, and just what this place is. It's just super exciting. And then, like this time in the fall, and then like we've got a 50K coming up in February that we're going to put on. Like November to March is when I run the most, because like April till October, like it's river season and I'm crazy busy on the river. So I just have this affinity for like the fall and the winter. Y'all were talking earlier about, I heard some chatter about cold weather running. I'm huge fan of cold weather. And I don't know if it's just I like it or if it's just by necessity. Like that's just when I run. That's when I put in miles. And so, the temps this weekend are going to be phenomenal.
All right, excited to hear that. And in our prediction video, Wesley Harton did the voiceover there. He let us know, that this is really the best family reunion. What does that kind of praise mean to you, in terms of the environment that you've been able to create at this race?
Man, that was huge. Like, my wife and I watched it, and we both got like, well, she made us both get teary eyed. And it's just, that was something that when we were kind of having this idea and this plan and kind of what we wanted to look like big picture kind of stuff, like we always wanted this to end up becoming a race that people felt super connected to and would want to come back to, so that we'd have runners come back and want to run again, or come back and want to crew, or come back and want to volunteer. And that it would be this thing that people, look forward to, like a reunion. And it's just crazy that like that's something we specifically talked about, and trying to cultivate that culture and that vibe, and wanting to, just to bring people into this community and into what we love doing here. And so the fact that he said that and kind of went with that theme, like it blew us both away.
Well, hey man, that's all you. I mean, if it wasn't for you, that creating that culture and, doing everything you did year one to make that race a smashing success, there wouldn't be good things to say about it. And, kind of, everyone in the trail and ultra running scene, kind of all over is thankful for the success of that race and what you've done down there. And, obviously people are still stoked to be a part of it for years to come. And I'm just excited to kind of continue to see this thing grow into something like I said in the video, a family reunion, and just kind of a race that you can go to year after year, know new people, but then also connect with the new runners that will come in. It's just an incredible experience down there that you've created.
Yeah, man, it's been really fun, and it's been really cool. Like, these races don't, like, there's no way my wife and I could put this on, just the two of us. Like, this is a community event. This is people, rallying around this idea and this vision for what we want to do. And so it's been so fun, like having the runners come and experience stuff here. But it's been equally as gratifying and fun for me to see like this community just rally behind this and really get psyched about it. Like, I mean, we're an outdoor community. We've got tons of boaters and climbers and mountain bikers, and that's kind of what we're known for. But now we've got all these folks in this community that are now like psyched about ultra running, and not even that they want to go run 100 miles, but they just want to be a part of it. And just kind of them getting their first taste of it last year, like people have been asking about it. I mean, like nonstop. So it's been really fun in that realm too.
Yeah, absolutely. And going along with that, Bryant, this race isn't just about putting on a race, right? You also fund a nonprofit with it as well. Do you want to talk a little bit about that for the folks who don't know?
Sure. So we, my wife and I, started a nonprofit. It's called Adventure Appalachia, and the basics of it, it's really just it's a funding mechanism to kind of bridge this gap between the amazing outdoor experiences that we have kind of right here in our backyard, and getting folks, local folks in Fayette County, specifically youth, getting them out in their own backyard, getting to experience this stuff. Like I've got three young girls. A big part of my wife and I settling here and being here is because we love to do this stuff, but we want to do it with our kids. I love taking my girls out on the river. We take them out mountain biking, and they can do all those things because my wife and I both have spent so much time as guides, in a commercial setting, that we have these skill sets to go do this stuff. And so you've got a large portion of our county where kids have parents who don't have those skill sets. So if your parents don't have those skill sets to take you out and do this stuff, your only other option is to pay an outfitter. And the basics of it is like a lot of folks here don't have that kind of money. Like it's expensive to pay a guide to go with an outfitter and go rafting or go climbing or go whatever. And so the whole idea was to kind of bridge that gap and eliminate that they're needing to be funds. And so if a local kid wants to go, then we're going to make it happen. And so this past summer was great. Like we got to we did a river trip. We took 40 high school kids on the river. I think like 35 of them had never been on the river before, ever. So just phenomenal. Like we did some climbing trips, a couple different climbing trips. We did some zip line stuff. We just did some mountain biking a couple weeks ago. And so, just trying to expand that this next season too, and super fun.
Yeah, absolutely. That's such a great cause, and it's one, frankly, that I resonate a lot with. In that for the folks who don't know, I grew up the outdoors, and we were always just hunting and fishing because that's all my family did. And I didn't realize that there was so much and such a different way to experience the outdoors, and it was something you could do year round, and not just something to at times literally put food on the table. And I think the fact that you've started this nonprofit and you're helping these folks out, because frankly, if I'm not from West Virginia, but if I was growing up in Oak Hill, I would have been one of those kids who would never have been on the river in my whole life. So that nonprofit, it really resonates with me and is special to me that you're using this race to do something like that. All right, and Bryant, do you have any closing thoughts for us?
Man, we're so psyched for folks to get here. We've got tomorrow's a big day for us. We'll be doing a lot of flagging, getting the course ready. But psyched for Friday. Psyched to see everybody, old faces, new faces, and then fired up Saturday morning.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in, Bryant. We're stoked to see you there as well.
Sweet. Y'all take care.
Yep. You too.
Awesome. Well, it was cool that race director Brian Baker got to hop on with us, obviously, on race week. He's got a billion things going on, I'm sure, but obviously cool to hear his thoughts. We kind of talked about the video here that was at the start of the prediction videos. I think it's not a bad little seventh inning stretch here. We'll just play that real quick and then hop back here with a couple more callers, hopefully. The word house is used to talk about a building made for people to live in. The word home is used to talk about the family that lives inside that building. This weekend, 250 runners are heading down to the New River Gorge in West Virginia to a place they will call home. The Rims River 100 is a second-year race that features beautiful views, gnarly climbs, and some of the best trails on the East Coast. However, this race didn't sell out because of those. This race is special because family is at the heart of it. To the runners returning for year 2, welcome home. To the new runners joining the family this year, we cannot wait to share this epic experience with you. Rims River 100, it's the best family reunion.
Self-conscious.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, hopefully you guys enjoyed that one. It's always kind of fun, kind of telling a different story at the start of those things. And, every word that was said there, it was obviously meant from the heart. And it's been awesome to kind of see that race become what it's become. John, what are we looking like on the queue right now?
We've got 2 in the queue. We're about to get them here in the waiting room, and we'll jump in. Actually, just popped in right now into the waiting room. So, speaking of that, who is on the line with us right now?
Good evening. This is Sean Becker from Weber City, Virginia.
Hey, good evening, Sean. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How you guys doing?
Oh, man, couldn't be better.
Awesome. I love your podcast. I've listened to it a few times. I can't say I've listened to every episode, but the ones I've listened to, I've been very well entertained and informed. Yeah, I'm running this race this weekend, this Rim to River 100, and I just said I'm going to ask you guys a couple questions and just get off the phone here and let you answer them. I'm not going to talk a long time because it's kind of weird, but so it's going to be cold at this race, right? It's going to get down into the 20s maybe. Along the river, I've heard it's going to be really cold at night. Mm-hmm. So I'm just wondering, what's some essential gear you would make sure you have, especially for that nighttime section. Another question I had, I've run a couple 100-mile races, like Eastern States, Cloud Splitter, and those have been in real technical type races, and and this one seems a little bit faster as far as more runnable surface. So I'm wondering what might be y'all's strategy with poles, when you might want to get them out and when you might want to put them away. And my goal for this race is to get to the halfway point before it gets dark. I think that'll be a pretty good accomplishment, and I just think it'll make for the rest of the race to be, a little more optimistic. But I'm just going to get off here, and any of those questions y'all can answer, I appreciate it, and look forward to this awesome race. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for calling in. I'm gonna go ahead
thanks, Sean. Those are 2 great questions. Go for it, Cam.
I was gonna say, Nick, feel free to chime in here, but just with the
as our gear guy, like if we're not talking gear, like Nick's got to be the first one to answer this question on cold weather gear.
Well, I was gonna say it's a good question, and I have recommendations. However, being that I think Cam and I both talked about enjoying being cold weather runners, and personally, I don't struggle too much with cold. I was going to leave it up to maybe John or Wes to talk about like what strategies for cold weather have worked for you guys. I think the easy thing to talk about is layering. I think layering is really good in terms of having quality layers like merino wool and things like that when they get wet, when they get sweaty, they still retain their warmth. But what's worked for you, Wes and John?
Funny, like for me, like the past, what was it? So before all of COVID, I pretty much just went to like tracks and indoor tracks to run during the wintertime. And I kind of like just was like, yeah, I'm not dealing with the like teens or anything like that in low 20s. I was like, nope, not dealing with it. So this past year, I really had to like figure that out, I guess. And like Nick, you gave me recommendations, and so did like Andrew Buck Michael, our great weatherman from Columbus. We're gonna have to get a weather update from him coming up for this weekend as well.
Maybe an internship for Wes too.
An internship for Wes. Oh yeah.
Seems like he wants to be a weatherman.
hey, I'm in.
So like for me, like, learning like the merino wool socks, that made a big difference as well. Gore-Tex shoes, especially keeping my feet dry in the colder months. And then just the layering thing. Like I forgot that I had so many race shirts and long sleeves and race quarter zips I'd gotten, and that were synthetic style, that I was able to just layer up and then getting a good pair of like gloves and hats that were like heat reflective. Like I got some Under Armour ones that were heat reflective, and that really was a game changer for me. Like I was able to get out there and get my body temperature up at that first mile, and then control it some more with like zipping and unzipping like the jackets and stuff like that. So it was a big learning experience for me over the last couple of years for that, but last year and a half ish. But was made it way more manageable, I guess, for me to run outside. So that's how it worked for me. What about you, Wesley?
Yeah, for me, it starts with the gloves. That's like where everything starts for me. And so I actually just recently got a new pair of the Brooks thermal mittens that I wear. And for whatever reason, a couple weeks ago, I looked and I only had one mitten in my closet. I don't know what happened between this winter and the last winter. I read at them recently. I think I even pasted them at some point. I think I had them at Leadville or Wasatch or something like that. But no, so I got a new pair of those. So having a good pair of running gloves is the key to keeping my whole body warm. And on top of that, like John was talking with like layering, but the piece of gear that I've loved most recently is like a Patagonia Houdini, where something you can just take on and off and just kind of have in your bag at all times. And if it gets cold down by the river, you just throw it on, and you start climbing again, you just take it off. And so for me, kind of having that in my bag all day is going to definitely kind of be a lifesaver. I can already tell.
You know how to pack that correctly now, don't you?
I don't think Regeneration's officially seen that tutorial on how to pack and unpack those things, but I definitely watched it a couple times.
Yeah, we'll be releasing a video later this year probably that has a short tutorial from Cam Wrench on how to properly pack a Houdini jacket. Very good advice if you don't know how to do that. It's definitely a skill worth learning.
Yeah, big Houdini fan here myself, and I'll say the one thing that that hasn't been said, I second all the advice that has been given, is part of my plan. I don't want to make it seem like I don't have a plan, but I definitely don't have a strict plan, and I definitely don't have well. I started to make a spreadsheet and then I gave up on it. If that goes to show how good I am at planning compared to Wesley, but is to have multiple versions of the same layer with your crew, because I don't know about anybody else, but no matter how cold it is, and I mean, I lived on the south side of Chicago in 2019, 2020, and I was running every morning 10, 15 degrees on the lakefront every day, and just having multiple versions of different layers to change out, because I'm going to sweat no matter what. And if my pace really plummets, having like a wet shirt on is going to really impede your ability to make any body heat when you're not moving as quickly. So the ability to swap that out for something dry when you see your crew is going to really pay dividends, and not only getting you back to being warm, but helping you stay warm like over like a longer period of time, compared to having a shirt that's going to be wet with your sweat, especially earlier in the day. It's going to be 57 during the day. I'm definitely not going to be wearing the same clothes during the day as I am going to be at night. So that is the only thing I would add about clothing advice there.
Yeah. And if you're someone who struggles with cold hands, I'm not one of those people, but I've seen and heard from a lot of people that just packing those little disposable like hand warmers in your drop bags and things like that in your pack, they're super lightweight, and those will give you a little bit of heat when things start to really bug you.
Yeah, no, those are great. I'll be having those in my kit as well. And then, just be smart out there. Like when it gets colder and when you start to slow down, maybe don't wear like the shortest shorts in the world. I'm planning on, throwing the pants on at some points as well. And, kind of just like making sure that you're really preparing for every scenario out there is probably the best advice we can give. And then on the polls section, Cam, do you want to start off by taking this one?
Yeah, with the polls, I'm going to say it's the biggest question is personal comfort, and did you train with them? If you didn't train with your poles, if you never used those on a long training run in a previous race, don't bring them. It's a different system. It's going to engage your body really differently. The last thing you want to do is start with poles, and all of a sudden at mile 40, your traps are just wrecked because you've never done so much power hiking with poles, and you've been carrying them the whole time. And when you weren't carrying them, they added extra weight to your pack. That's an extra wrinkle in your race plan that I don't think you need. However, if you've been training with poles, if you like running with poles, I would say it's not going to hurt you to bring them at all. It's really just a matter of what your preference was going into it. I have occasionally used poles on some bigger runs. When I did the Barkley Challenge Loop, I brought poles, and when we did the the Grand Teton Circumnavigation, I brought poles too. But other than that, I really haven't used them this year, so I'm not going to be bringing mine. Especially also because I just don't want to put them in my suitcase and fly them out there. But I really do think it comes down to, you know, you've either decided if you like them or not before going into this race, and you need to trust that.
Yeah, and kind of breaking things down on paper. Like, I mean, if I was someone who was looking to use poles at this race, or maybe just like maybe have them and give them to a crew member and then pick them back up, I probably wouldn't use them for the first 26 miles just based on the elevation profile and just the type of terrain that you kind of encounter. You know, he talked about running Eastern States. You know, no matter what, it's not as technical as that race is. You know, so I think, you know, probably picking them up at 26 when the climbing really starts to intensify in the back half of the race is probably a good thing to do there. And then maybe just take them through Canard on the way down, maybe just Canard to Canard, and then make your decision if you want to carry them through the rest of the way. But maybe that's my piece of advice on how long I would kind of have them if I was taking them with me this weekend.
I agree. I think later in the race is the right play. It sounds like Sean's used them before at races like Eastern States and Cloud Splitter, where it's, you know, kind of crucial for you know, for assisting in the climbing and the downhills, just with help with, you know, making sure you can stay upright. But I think just consider, like, is it worth it for this kind of race? And it sounds like he's already figured out that this is a little bit more of a race that he's going to run a lot more. And the last thing you want to think about are poles when you're just trying to focus on running. So I think second half of the race is probably the right move here on this one too.
Yeah, especially early on in the race. Not that like having poles in the beginning part could be annoying with all the runners around, or you could just like stab me with the pole if you want to in the mile one. Feel free to do that. But, you know, it's also like, you know, things will be more spread out. So, you know, you don't have to worry about, you know, people passing you or you passing people with poles. And so, you know, if you're comfortable with getting to 26 without them, probably just go until the climb really starts. But that's the advice there. I think we're still waiting to get someone in the official queue again. We got a couple more callers here before we wrap up the show, but this is a good time to really dive into your, you know, full kind of mindset, Cam. Like, what are your goals with this? Obviously, you mentioned finishing earlier, but let's just do a full deep dive here for a couple minutes on everything Cam Wrench and Rim Tour 100.
I mean, there's not time for a full deep dive, right? Or at least I really hope there's not, because we're going to be here for a while.
Hey, 45 minutes, Arlen style.
Oh man, I'll never match up to that guy's ability to run or speak, frankly. I admire him for both, because I can't, man, somebody who can tell a story like that, it's something that, you know, you can't really teach, especially verbally, you know. There's definitely a time and place if Arlen was alive, he was telling oral histories for sure. But, you know, like, my mindset going into it really is just that, like, this is an experience. It's not about, you know, kind of that classic maybe run versus race mindset, you know. People talk a lot, and I think it's a little bit onanistic, frankly, of, you know, this is a run, this isn't a race. But I think personally you can make it that mindset, and what Caleb and Dan and like Holly Ann and Whitney are doing up front does not matter to what I'm going to be doing in my own personal race, which it's kind of a journey, I think, to celebrate the relationship I have with running, the relationship I've developed with all y'all and with my crew and with everybody in Ridge Runner Nation, and coming back to this place that was so fulfilling to be at last year for the first year of this race. You know, I wanted to run it in that first year, and then 2 stress fractures that summer really, really kept me from being anywhere near to a place that I would have been able to run it. I mean, I ran like 26 miles that weekend filming, and my physical therapist was not happy that I did that. But, you know, it's just, it's about the experience, you know, like, I'm going to go there and it's going to be what it is. And I'm not going to predict what it's going to be, but I'm going to accept it as it comes to me and try to enjoy it as much as I possibly can, because I'm not going to be in control of anything other than what I can control. You know, it's like we're talking about with the weather. The more I check the weather, it's never going to make me in control of the weather. You know, the more I think about whether or not they're going to have 25 pepperoni rolls waiting just for me at Fayette Station, it's not going to change the fact that they're for everybody. And for all I know, I'm chasing cutoffs at that point, and they're not going to have one left. But I'm going to accept it as it comes to me, and I'm going to try to really enjoy it as it happens. So that's your mindset deep dive, as far as you're concerned, Wesley. But I'd like to hear what your mindset is. You talked fifth place has come up a lot. Now it's top five. It's a bigger prediction. Caleb says sub 20. I know you've had some of those more aggressive time goals, and you definitely have the ability. I mean, you've got a 1:20 half marathon PR. You're a fast guy. You've been running since you were about 12 years old. Like, tell me what your mindset is approaching this.
Yeah, I mean, this is a big one for me. Kind of my one big regrets with this year in general has been, I'm only starting 2 races in 2021, and that's not normally the norm for me. Normally, I'm running 6 to 7 races, and even I think in 2017 I raced like an ultra once a month or something close to that. And so when you only race 2 ultras in a year, in June I DNF'd Mohican 100, and so there's kind of some pressure on me to go out there and finish this one and have a good performance. And I take that in stride. I appreciate the pressure. I put the pressure on myself a lot of the times in runs, in training runs. Not really looking at splits, but then also just like knowing, like trying to work on certain things on certain days. And so that's kind of my big thing with this race is, at the end of the day, 2021 for me will come down to this race. And it's tough to say. A lot of people may not, think the same way with a race or, think about their whole year in one performance. But for me, going into this one, it's gonna be a fun one. But like I said, kind of like what you were saying, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm in it for the party. And the one thing I've been taking most recently into this race is like you mentioned with Ridge Runner Nation and just kind of learning about 100 milers and how to attack them better throughout the years. We've had so many incredible guests on Ridge Runners Live this year alone talking about 100 milers that just I've learned so much just hearing their stories. The Rachel Spaldings of the world, Sarah Wallace, Arlen Glick, Jamie One, who'll be out there on the course, Jason Root, Paul Jacobs, Micah Morgan, Mika Thews, Melissa Strand, Carol Youngblood. The list goes on and on with Becker Ultra winners. I mean, there's so many people that have given incredible advice on how to run 100 miles that I've had the opportunity to just learn through them, through having them sharing their stories on Ridge Runners Live. And so kind of using that motivation and having their mindsets is the one thing I've been channeling the past week and a half, and taking all the information from them and hoping to kind of bring it all out there on race day.
That is really good to hear. And we do have our two elder statesmen, so to speak, also available. Wesley and I both 24 years old, John 31, and then Nick 32, I believe. What is
Still 32.
25.
25. All right, 25, Wesley. Well, anyways, what advice do you guys have, especially John, with your first 100 finishes, because we're in just frankly such different places in our lives that we can take with us into race weekend.
Man, throwing the question at me then. I think the biggest thing for me that I figured that I, reflecting back upon Canal was just in my mental mindset, like what I was focused on. Like, I was in a good amount of pain when I came through, back towards mile 70, and then Wesley just basically looked at me and said, "No, we're not going to talk about this," and kind of shifted the mindset back to being like, "All right, we're just gonna have fun. All right, let's go. We're gonna have fun. That's what we're doing." And then that changed, I think, the majority of the rest of the evening. As in, for me, I ran the last 6 miles the best, the fastest. My fastest mile was one of those last 6, and I just felt good. But that's what I was thinking about. It's just the mindset of it when you're sitting there and you're not wanting to move or not wanting to do anything, that just taking a few more steps and everything it may not change, but it can definitely change. The probability is high. And then sitting at aid stations too long was always my issue, getting back up. And then I think the nice thing, especially when it's cold, because it was not quite cold at Canal, but definitely chilly. Whereas as soon as we left the aid station, it was just run for 30 or 60 seconds, kind of get everything firing again. And then you're like, oh, okay, we're good. So that's my 100-mile advice for being an older person.
Well, John kind of just threw a total wrench into what I was going to say, and he's probably, I guess, the right one to listen to, since I haven't been able to get the 100-mile distance done myself. But I think, even from learning from, the 5 times that I've towed the line at 100-mile races, and this isn't coming at it from a negative standpoint, but you have to be prepared for it to really suck. You have to be prepared for it to be really miserable, and you have to really want, I think, to keep going. And I think, maybe where I've gone wrong in the past is, just not wanting to weather that, or not being in the right mental state to weather that. So I guess, in what John just said there, I think is key, finding ways to reframe that in the way you're thinking, and reminding yourself that you're going to have fun and you're there to have fun, and you chose to do this, and things like that can probably help. But for me, I think people who haven't run a lot of 100-milers or even anything longer than 50 miles, the key is just to remember that you're still new to it. Your body's still new to the experience. You don't know what to happen. So taking all of the other noise and expectations of finishing place and finishing time out of it, and just kind of accepting, what's going to come. That's kind of the mentality that I think is best at that stage. Now, of course, you want to keep moving 100%. That's not going to be, that's like a non-negotiable throughout the process. You got to keep going, but just be ready. Just be ready for it and welcome it.
Yeah, be ready, and kind of like what you said there, but then also you kind of know, I feel like going into it, how bad do you want this thing? And for me, just personal example, like last year when I did my adventure in the Shawnee Forest, and Nick, you accompanied me for 25 of those miles. I mean, that was an adventure where I was, I didn't care how, if it took me 4 days to get through 100 miles there. I was, knew that, as long as I slowly kept moving, I'd be fine. But, Mohican, I didn't bring that same mindset into it with hey, I got to finish this race with everything, 100%, no matter what happens, and situations happen out there on race day, of course, and we want everyone to be smart with if injuries occur and anything like that. But at the end of the day, I definitely dropped a Mohican, calf cramp or whatever happened, but I wasn't as locked in as I was for the Shawnee adventure I did last year. And that's kind of my big thing going into this race is just, hey, you got to be locked in, and you can't just come into this race expecting a good result with just happen out of thin air.
Well, you didn't really have an option in the forest by yourself. There was no other option other than just finishing that loop. And you're right, though. I think the difference is and there's nothing wrong. There's totally nothing wrong with seeing what you're capable of, seeing what you think your training has given you. But I think you did go into Mohican with, some lofty expectations and wanting to do well. And that was your idea of what you want to do at the race. Again, nothing wrong with that. But when things go a little sideways, that's where that shifting of that mind frame has to go.
Yeah, and I think calling that a calf cramp is not very generous to yourself, because I don't know what Travis was doing when he was taping your shin, but there was some funky stuff happening. I saw you limping the next day.
Yeah, no, I mean, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth, is what they say. So
yeah, which is actually why I plan on punching everyone in the mouth at this race.
Good.
Sorry, that's a bad one. Yeah, this Mike Tyson. It's just it doesn't apply. I don't think he lives in a very different world than we do.
I mean, if you think it'll help me out, race day morning before the starting lines, 5:58, when we're eating oatmeal, Regeneration oatmeal thing, remember, throwback to that. Punch me in the mouth afterwards.
At the oatmeal party? Yeah. I'm not gonna ruin the oatmeal party, buddy.
We got Kodiak cakes coming out. Hopefully, it's gonna be great. That's awesome. Well, I think we've got one more person to hopefully getting on here, and if not, we'll wrap up here in a couple minutes. We know VOSS Talks, the kind of best part about this show is, anyone can call in. We love that aspect of it, but also we love the extended format of it too. Like most of our VOSS Talks episodes have gone close to the 90-ish minute range, and I told these guys earlier today, I was like, you guys better be prepped and ready for 4 hours, because if Regeneration Nation's going for 4 hours, we're going to be live the whole time, but I think Cam might have to go to bed here pretty shortly.
It is 7:27 Mountain Time. I don't know if you forgot that we're in the same time zone now. But yeah, did not plan on going to bed just yet, frankly.
I think the most important part, and I don't know what was going on in the beginning of the show, but we've skipped the most important and crucial part. We didn't even talk about what we were drinking tonight.
Let's do it, Nick. What are you drinking?
Well, I was prepared for a longer night, so I had two. I started with a New Terrain IPA from it's like a special batch series that they switch up weekly, and then now I'm on to a Melvin, which is a Wyoming beer. So this is the Boom Shakazaka Hazy IPA.
Love that one. Well, not that one specifically, but whatever the whatever the Melvin one. I'd have to check my Untapped to figure out which one I had up there in the Grand Tetons. Cam, what are you drinking?
I just want to say it was not that one that you had up there in the Grand Tetons. I specifically remember because it was a Missoula beer. Dropworks Scepter.
Yeah, you're right, but I think maybe Roadhouse. But maybe Roadhouse is different. No, that's for the Walrus. I have no idea. Yeah.
Anyways, I have got, as I have mentioned many times on this show now, I'm a big fan of all things Huckleberry, my adopted home state here. But the Bitterroot Brewing Huckleberry Honey, I really love these. So super stoked on it. We're going to be seeing what various Huckleberry products I can fit into the checked bag for my crew, because if you're not in Montana, you're missing out. But also don't move here.
Are you bringing all of Regeneration some Huckleberry seltzers to the starting line of this one, like you promised?
Yeah, we're all gonna have a sip. But
can confirm you can bring about 30 cans in your checked bag. Just check the weight beforehand. I think you got like a 50-pound limit.
That's good to know, Nick. I'm glad you're the experienced flyer here. I will. I'll go ahead and remove those extra shoes from my bag that I've got packed just to make sure.
You don't need that.
Yeah.
Well,
no.
Also, put them in a side of a bag. Don't just put the beer cans in the suitcase, or they can possibly explode like they did after coming home from Promised Land, like they did for me. So that's another pro tip when flying with beer. But I got the Wasatch Brewing Island Hop Tropical IPA tonight, and it's my second one, so came prepared as well. John?
I am rocking. I came prepared too, and at this point, I guess not prepared enough because they're both empty. So I should have became more prepared. But I have a Brewdog Hazy AF. It's an NA beer. I love these things. They're great. And then I also have a Hopping Nomad IPA Session Ale from who's this from? I don't even see what in the hell?
That one place.
That one place, yeah.
Yeah,
I thought it was
there.
All I know is it's from State of Brewing, Waukee, Wisconsin. That's all it says on the side. Hopping Nomad. Man,
tough marketing.
I know. I'm gonna go upstairs. I gotta go with the box upstairs.
Can't even shout it out.
I'm gonna find out.
Sounds like one of those that might be made by one of the big brewers or something.
I want to find out for you guys.
Mm-hmm.
Octopi Brewing.
Oh, well, there we go.
Yeah, that's where it's from, Wisconsin.
It's in Milwaukee.
It's in I think it said Wanaki. I don't know where that's at.
Oh, Wanaki.
Wanaki. Is that how you say?
Oh yeah, I think I was up there actually for a dirt track race last year.
Dirt track.
As great as that was last year for me.
I really thought
in the middle of the state.
It's by Madison. Yeah. It's over there by Madison. Mm-hmm. So
yeah.
Yeah, and I'm sorry to if anyone's listening from that area. I did not intentionally mean to butcher the name of the city. I'm terrible with pronunciations, anyways. So that's how that rolls. I do have one question that came in from looks like from let's see here, from Cora Player in the chat. It says that she got most of her questions answered this evening, but she was kind of wondering what mileage or aid station maybe where most of the people dropped last year. Just when she wants to get it into her brain to get past that point. I don't know when. I have to go back and find out. I'm curious. I imagine Fayetteville Station would have been a high drop spot.
I was gonna say, where's the biggest crew access spot past mile 50?
In Kennard. That's my advice. If you can get through Kennard or get to it and get out of it feeling good. 20 miles left in the race. There's 2 awesome aid stations there. Basically home free.
I'm also going to say maybe even consider lying to yourself about this. Just whatever aid station had the most drops is whatever one you're in right now. So you need to get out of it and get moving again.
Yeah, just skip it. Skip that aid station.
Just blow right through it.
I figured out why Nick's dropped from so many hundreds. He just skips the aid stations.
Oh man,
you gotta stop skipping aid stations, Nick.
Man, this John guy gets a buckle. Now he's just all about it.
I don't even know where the
I've
buckle's
definitely
at.
never skipped an aid station. That's a mandatory 12-ounce Coca-Cola every time.
Yep.
Mandatory 12-ounce Coca-Cola. Oh man.
Yeah, when you're feeling rough, that's for sure.
Love it. Well, I mean, I think if that's everything for tonight, I think we should just all leave with closing thoughts for this weekend. Nick, since you're not going to be there, let's start with you.
Yeah, I'm just excited for you guys. I'm excited for you guys to go out there and explore some new limits. Wes, you're still new at this thing. You're just a young buck at 25. And excited to see what you can do. And Cam, I'm excited for you to get it done too, and just leave me as the lone non-100-mile host or participant here on Ridge Runners.
What are we gonna do with you, man?
What are we gonna do? This is why you're an intern still.
Now for me, for this last closing thoughts, I'm excited to see Cam finish. I'm very excited for that. I'm not necessarily excited for Wesley to finish because right now I still hold the fastest 100-mile time for Ridge Runner hosts, and I'm going to lose that this weekend. So it's bittersweet for me going into this weekend.
Man, I'm a little hurt by that, John. You're like not in danger from Cam. I've got the worst head-to-head record of anybody in Ridge Runner Nation racing against John.
Yes, you've lost every time.
It is not. Every time, yeah. It has not been a good year for me. But yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm still putting it on the boys, all gonna run the 50K, run the rut next year, and we'll see what happens there.
But in all, I'll say I do hope you both finish in good times.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there. It's time to be an adult, as they say, and really go out there and see what you can do. And at the end of the day, it's not the end of the world. It's just one race, but I'm also just excited to experience it. And, this is the sport that we know and love. And, I kind of joke around, I say naturally I'm a ball sport guy, but definitely have definitely come to love ultra running more and more over the years. And Nick's been saying I'm still a young buck, but it's kind of interesting for me now because I have this weird amount of experience where I've been running ultras for 7 years now, but still haven't quite put together a 100-mile performance that I'm really stoked about. And so this weekend's hopefully going to be a big one for me. I'm excited to share miles with so many people. I'll be there early, pick up on Friday. I might just hang out all day at Ace there, just hang out, talk to people, and then Saturday, obviously, talk to a bunch of people out there on the course. So that's what I'm most looking forward to this weekend.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess it's given to me to wrap up, and I echo all of these things. And as the youngest Ridge Runner, I guess I'm not sure by how much, but I'm just excited for the experience, and I'm going to try to enjoy it just physically as much as I can. And I'm really excited to get out there and see absolutely everybody out there on course. If you see me and I look like I'm having a bad time, feel free to let me know. It's like, hey, aren't you supposed to be having fun right now? We'll see how I take that, depending on how late the race is. But, you know.
He promises not to punch you in the mouth.
No, he doesn't.
I'm not really. First off, we're going to the ground anyways, right? Like I'm not going to stand up and strike with anybody. But also, we're going to be nicer than that. But if it comes down to it, you know, like it's West Virginia, anything can happen. But yeah.
Well, I know Cam and Wes, I know you guys don't have roommates, but my roommate always gives me really sound advice before I run any race. He just tells me really straight faced. He's like, look, if you don't win, don't even bother coming back. Go ahead and just move your stuff out. That's it. So just take that.
That's what all my coworkers have been
motivation.
saying. It's ridiculous. It's like, dude, are you not gonna like become top 5 in this thing, or like, I mean, they're legitimately gonna kick me out of the company if I don't come back with a buckle here and a good finish. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But I think that's it for VOSS Talks tonight. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in and calling into this show. It was awesome to kind of preview the Rim River 100 this year. We'd love to get more of these VOSS Talks scheduled in the future. If there's a race you want to see a preview on, or just want to have a conversation with, or just topics you want to talk about, feel free to drop us in the comments below, and we can try to make that happen. Our last VOSS Talks was in April. We'll definitely be doing more of these, as hopefully you guys all enjoyed them. But John, I think we've got a video here to wrap up this show. We'll see you guys all in the New River Gorge this weekend.